Human emotions are a labyrinth, a silent battlefield where every glance, every word, every pause carries a weight far beyond its surface meaning. Most men stumble because they approach this battlefield without strategy. They either surrender to her feelings entirely, losing themselves in reactive chaos, or they attempt clumsy, desperate tricks that destroy respect before it even forms. Machiavelli, the ultimate student of human nature, observed this battlefield with cold precision. He teaches a far more effective strategy: how to hijack emotions without losing yourself. This is not crude manipulation. It is the subtle, elegant art of orchestrating desire while preserving your psychological sovereignty, conducting the invisible symphony of human feeling so that the other person dances to your rhythm without ever realizing the conductor exists. Absolute self-possession is the first secret. You cannot influence someone else if your own emotional state is unstable. Calmness is magnetic. Composure is irresistible. A man who is grounded, steady, and self-contained becomes a gravitational force for her emotions, a fixed point she cannot resist orbiting. Imagine this: a woman lashes out with passive-aggressive criticism, expecting tears, explanations, or panic. The average man crumbles, stumbling over apologies and over-explaining himself. But the Machiavellian man? He meets the storm with calm intrigue. He does not absorb her chaos. He redirects it. Her emotional waves start moving around him rather than through him. This is not coldness, it is power. Reacting impulsively to her highs or lows, however, is the fatal error of dependence. Allowing her emotional waves to dictate your behavior is like handing over your kingdom, brick by brick, without resistance. The second secret is controlled tension. Desire thrives on contrast. Predictability is the enemy of fascination. Constant reassurance anesthetizes attraction, dulls curiosity, and breeds emotional boredom. The Machiavellian method is subtle, yet devastatingly effective. Alternate engagement with absence, intensity with calm. When you interact, do so with intrigue, humor, or deep emotional resonance. Then pull back deliberately. Let the emotional currents you've stirred linger, twist, and grow inside her mind. Scarcity plus intensity equals fascination. You do not overwhelm her. You compel her to chase the experience you provide. She will replay your words, gestures, even the tone of your voice, because the tension you create makes her participate in her own feelings without realizing it. Next is the art of emotional mirroring, wielded with surgical precision. Humans are wired to respond to reflection. It feels familiar, comforting, validating, but mirroring must be subtle. Echo her feelings just enough to signal understanding without mimicking, overcompensating, or surrendering your inner world. If she expresses excitement, respond with calm intrigue. If she expresses doubt, offer measured reassurance. Think of a skilled chess player. Each move mirrors the opponent's intention, but also sets up the next trap. Emotional mirroring creates an invisible bridge of rapport, a connection she senses but cannot name, drawing her closer while leaving you unshaken, like a lighthouse whose steady light guides without being consumed by the storm. Machiavelli also recognized the power of anticipation. Emotions are forged not only by events, but by perception. A small, cryptic gesture, a delayed reply, a single meaningful compliment, an enigmatic glance ignites curiosity. Her mind begins to engage with you, even in your absence. You are no longer just a man. You become a presence, a puzzle, a silent architect of her emotional state. She imagines your thoughts, wonders about your actions, and unconsciously invests energy in decoding your subtle signals. Anticipation transforms desire from a passive state into a pursuit where she becomes the participant, chasing a sense of emotional engagement that only you control. Boundaries are your armor. Hijacking emotions does not mean surrendering yourself to hers. Your time, energy, and emotional bandwidth are non-negotiable. Without boundaries, influence collapses into submission, and strategy becomes desperation. Machiavelli's law is simple. Influence without self-possession is weakness masquerading as skill. To hijack emotions successfully, operate from autonomy, never from need. This autonomy is inherently seductive because it signals power, control, and inner completeness, the rare quality that fascinates, captivates, and commands. Consider a practical scenario. She tests you with indirect criticism or subtle manipulation. Most men panic. They over-explain, apologize, or try to fix her mood. They hand her the map to their emotional kingdom. The Machiavellian response is different. Acknowledge calmly, redirect the conversation, and retreat subtly. You do not reject her emotion. You contain it, shape it, and channel it. Her emotional energy begins to orbit you, seeking resolution, attention, and intrigue, but always on your terms. She feels compelled to chase, to interpret, to invest, and she does so willingly because you remain unshaken, unbothered, untouchable. Another key tactic is selective emotional escalation. Heighten positive emotions in measured doses: laughter, fascination, subtle praise, mysterious gestures. But never saturate. Let her mind fill in the gaps with imagination, curiosity, and desire. Overexposure kills intensity. Think of desire like fire. Too much fuel at once smothers the flame. Measured sparks ignite a blaze. Emotional impact is strongest when it is rare, unpredictable, and meaningful. Your actions become punctuation in the sentence of her emotional experience. She will remember the pauses, the weight behind the words, the controlled depth far more than the words themselves. Unpredictability is your secret weapon. Humans crave patterns, but are stimulated by exceptions. Be emotionally consistent in your core self, but deliberately unpredictable in your interactions. Send a thoughtful message unexpectedly. Compliment her subtly when she least expects it. Withdraw attention at the precise moment when her mind begins to settle into expectation. These small, calculated actions trigger unconscious dopamine responses. Her brain starts chasing the emotional highs you provide, seeking the next spark of engagement, unaware that she is being guided by the invisible architecture you've constructed. A Machiavellian mind also understands the invisible hand of subtle provocation. Strategic irritation, like a playful tease, a slight contradiction, or a challenge to her expectations, stirs emotional energy without aggression. It engages her mind, activates her curiosity, and triggers the competitive instinct to understand, to correct, or to reclaim control. The beauty lies in restraint. Too much provocation breeds frustration. Too little fails to ignite. Timing, precision, and subtlety are everything. Finally, maintain authenticity within strategy. Machiavelli's genius lay in blending subtle influence with naturalness. Forced tactics fail. Only seamless orchestration works. Your composure, selective presence, and emotional rhythm create an environment where her emotions gravitate toward you effortlessly, without coercion, without sacrificing your identity. Mastery lies in being the invisible hand, guiding emotional currents while remaining untouched by them. The ultimate truth: hijacking emotions is not domination, it is psychological architecture. You construct conditions where her emotional energy flows toward you while yours remains intact. You orchestrate desire without dependence, tension without cruelty, attraction without surrender. Machiavelli's principle is simple yet profound. Control the emotional rhythm, preserve your sovereignty, and become an invisible force in her mind. When executed masterfully, she becomes captivated, invested, and intrigued, even obsessed, while you remain unshakable. In this silent battlefield, the man who moves emotional currents without being moved by them holds ultimate power. Calm in the storm, invisible yet commanding, he becomes a master of emotional gravity. Hijack her emotions, but never your own. That is the Machiavellian path to attraction, influence, and unbreakable presence.